Truth is not an ideology. Morality is not an ideology.
I agree, truth is not an ideology.
But you're making it sound like because someone said it before and philosophized about it, therefore I've echoed it or I've said it.
That is exactly what you've done.
But it's ridiculous.
So what? That
It's
is exactly
ridiculous.
what you've done. That is exactly what you've done.
So you can't have someone just be a moral person because it must have come from a philosopher that once said it. And therefore I'm echoing it.
A moral journey is much like any other journey. You need a map and a compass. And without a map and a compass, all you're doing is guessing. And that's what you're doing.
Can we get back to the multiple
You're
gods?
just guessing.
I want to hear about the multiple gods.
You're just guessing. But I want to deal with his point because he really doesn't understand how his personal, individual attitude is exactly what the state is doing. Because the state practices state agnosticism. It says amongst all religions, amongst all claims to truth, we don't know what's true. So be yourself, make up your own truth, decide your own moral system, just don't hurt anyone. But the state, when it practices that collectively, decides to invent the truth. And so it labels all of these people wrongly.
But the state is hurting people.
I agree.
We can agree on
it
that.
Is.
So don't think that people on this side are not acknowledging that truth as we are.
Because this moral system that you're seeking to follow is not rooted in reality.
If you were to leave Christianity tomorrow,
it's a truth.
Would you become an immoral person?
I would become a less moral person.
Right, so less moral.
Yes.
So why not totally immoral?
Do you know what sin is?
No, hang on.
I'm going to address your point.
No, let's not do question. Let's do question answer.
All right, question, answer, then question.
So, did that not make sense, that question?
So ask your question again, so I'll answer.
Okay, so if you were to give up Christianity tomorrow, would you become an immoral person?
I would become a less moral person.
Well, why not totally immoral?
Right.
Because according to your logic,
sorry,
you can only be a moral person.
You have asked a question. One second.
Bob actually did agree with objective morality.
You have asked one question. I have answered it. Now I will ask you one question.
I didn't answer it.
I did answer it. You said to me, if I became a Christian, would I become a immoral person? I answered the question by saying I would become a less moral person. So I have answered your question. Now it is your turn. Now, you can do.
But do you think less objectively moral or relatively?
Now it is your turn to answer a question.
Yeah, but Bob, are you saying you're less?
Now it is your turn to answer a question. Now it is your turn to answer a question.
Here we go.
When you free think your moral system, what is the touchstone that you base your moral theory on? What is that thing that decides what's right and what is wrong?
What do you mean a touchstone?
So let me clarify. You have said, I am a free thinker. I think for myself, I make up my own moral system.
Sure.
Right. So when you're deciding this is right and this is wrong, what criteria are you using?
I can feel it. I can observe it.
So emotionalism.
Now that's another question. Now my turn.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Your turn.
Objective morality is the answer.
We can do this silly, childish, like one-word answers.
Well,
things
we're
if
not
you
having
like.
to shout, which is an improvement on the Islamic dawah.
But you can see you created this frame of one-word answers, and it's not really going to lead to anything.
Your question.
Okay. So are we going to do these one-word answers? Is
Your
that how
question.
You're going to do it? Okay.
Your question.
Okay, fine. So why is it then, if you were to give up Christianity tomorrow, would you only become a less moral person and not a totally immoral person if, by your own logic, that you can only find your moral compass if you follow this book?
Yeah, and the answer to that is I didn't, but the answer to that is a really simple one. The fact of the matter is that if I was to leave Christianity tomorrow, a lot of my moral structure, a lot of my moral narrative would still be influenced by my Christian faith. In the same way that for most of the history of the UK, even though since the Enlightenment it has been moving steadily away from its Christian past, its moral framework has still been informed by its Christian past. It's like if I gave this brother a £20 note and then he gave you the £20 note, where did the £20 note originally come from? It came from me. So, in our society, that's what we see. We see the fact that even though people like yourself are saying I'm a free thinker, I'm not a Christian, still having lots of morals that accord with the Christian faith because our culture has been Christian for over 1,000 years, and that juggernaut of history doesn't just disappear overnight. But as our society has moved increasingly away from its Christian faith, it has brought in more and more laws that are contrary to the Christian faith, such as the liberalisation of divorce laws that are the root of destroying families amongst, destroying families amongst white working communities.
But it's doing that regardless of
the abortion laws, which are allowing white working communities to kill their own children and to prevent them from having the next generation. The litigiousness in terms of the
He's rambling.
No. I'm giving examples.
Can you give us an example of the immorality?
Let me finish. So these laws, like the abolition of the Sabbath law, which has meant that increasingly workers in the UK are being abused by their employers who force them to work far above and beyond any kind of norm, and does not allow for the bonding of society by giving people a common day off. So different people are having different days off, so they can't see their friends and they can't see their family because their wife's got one day off and they've got another day off.
But this is all objective morality, Bob.
It's harmful to society. It's harmful to society.
For that.
So in answer to your question, the reason why I wouldn't become a completely morally immoral person is because if I abandon my faith, a lot of my moral narrative would still be Christian.
Let me ask you a question.
Now let me ask you a question.
Now hold on.
No. I'm doing one question. No, I'm doing.
I want to know what you would do after Christianity that would be immoral. Because you said you would be less immoral.
Okay,
so you're doing something that's immoral. What is it? What are you going to do that's immoral?
I'm going to ask him a question first, and then I'll address your question, and then I'd like him to respond to my question.
Please.
So you'll have time to think about it. Right? You said that your moral system was based upon how you felt about something.
Being a human being.
So it's about your feeling. It's about your feeling.
Consciousness.
Yeah,
Sure.
Has your feelings ever led you to think that something? If your moral feelings say something is right, does that mean that it's right for society or just right for you?
Okay.
That's the question.
Yep.
So you asked me the question, what would I do?
What you actually said was that if you stopped being a Christian,
I become a less moral person.
Implying that you would take actions that were immoral.
Yes. Stop praying. So one example.
What are those actions?
So I'm not going to give a list because obviously I don't know.
Just give me one.
I'm just going to give you one. That's exactly what I'm going to give you. So for me, as a Christian, to deny truth is immoral. To deny what is real is immoral. And our reality is that God exists. To deny that reality is an immoral act.
Okay, but you can't give me that example.
Why can't I? Are you going to define now what examples I can give?
The premise of my question was you've already left Christianity.
Yes, I have.
In other words, you've already denied God.
Yes.
So now we need another
And that would be an immoral act.
No, but we said having left the church, so you need to give me another immoral act, not that one. Because we already presupposed in the question that you already left. In other words, you've already denied God. So you need to give me another immoral act.
Okay, so another one that I might do.
You're struggling.
No, not really.
You are, Bob.
No, not really. I'm just trying to go.
Do you know why? Because you've got an innate morality.
No, you're jumping the gun. So another example of something that might be immoral. Because God is the anchor of truth and that map and compass by which we navigate moral situations. If I deny God's existence, which I've already done, I would then, I imagine, because this is an imaginary scenario, attach myself to an immoral cause like nationalism or communism or fascism.
But would you?
I might do.
No, but that's not what you said you would. You're giving me a silly example.
It seems that the brother is unhappy with any example that I give him.
No, you gave me a complete.
So he's following the true Mancunian argument, which is that I won't accept any answer because.
He didn't say, did he? What ideology?
I've given you two examples, and I gave you an example of which ideologies.
I want to see you
simply
violate an objective
were
morality.
not listening.
No, I was listening.
simply were not listening.
Absolutely not.
Because if I follow nationalism, the objective
you said
morality.
You might. You didn't say you would.
We're talking a hypothetical
but
situation.
I asked you what you would do, not what you might do.
So, unfortunately,
what would you
the
do
brother is
immoral?
simply playing semantics.
No, but you're stuck. You can't think of an objective morality that you would break. Why Because you have an objective morality.
Everything that this argument is based upon a hypothetical situation.
No, it's based on objective morality.
To speak might, but I'm not going to argue semantics with you.
It's not semantics.
I'm not going to argue semantics with you.
It's truth. You like truth.
Let me ask you this question. Okay, so you said that you were not this, and then I want him to answer the question I asked him. So you'll come back to this.
Okay.
So the question I asked you,
right,
as using your moral system, do you agree with divorce?
It's not my moral system. Bob.
Do you agree with divorce? That's the question for you. Now, you answer my question.
Okay, well...
Do you remember my question?
It wasn't a yes or no question.
It wasn't
I know the question you asked, and my answer to that is I'm aware of the individual repercussions of my own actions on an individual level, but I'm also simultaneously aware of the effects that I have on a more of a pluralistic level as well. So I can hold those two intentions simultaneously. That's my answer to you. My question now.
Hold on.
You. No, one question.
Yeah, okay.
You created that
right.
rule.
Yeah, I did.
So
I can work with the rules. And none of us here are the Dawa, please.
No,
no one's screaming, no one's shouting.
I'm in your
frame right now, brother. I'm in your frame.
We appreciate it, Bob. Seriously.
Actually, let me you carry on because I want to get the wording of this correct. So we can
Shall I answer the question?
The question.
Because you know I'm going to give you the same answer I gave you before, right? It's contextual.
Right. So it's contextual.
It has to be.
Right. So by contextualism,
look, I can tell you exactly why it's contextual.
No. I'm not interested now.
Okay.
Like,
I thought you might not be.
By contextualization, the thing is, with the problem with a contextual ethic is it can be used to justify anything.
Because religion.
Because by a contextual ethic, you will say that anything can be justified given the circumstances.
You're arguing that divorce is
in certain circumstances, genocide of the kind practiced by the Nazis can be justified by a moral society.
No.
So there are some things that are always
I told you,
wrong.
there's an objective truth about harming individuals. How can you commit genocide and say that that's not harming individuals? That's ridiculous.
You what?
You're saying that genocide can be justified by something I'm saying.
Oh, so your moral maxim is still about not committing harm. But
we can derive much from
the reason why I've dismissed this moral argument is because no charity has ever been set up because someone decided they wanted to avoid hurting other people.
No, they set up charities to avoid other people being harmed.
Charities are set up because you love someone enough and you seek to do them good. So it's Christ's teaching that you love your neighbour as yourself that leads to the establishment of charities. And it is that moral system of seeking the good for your neighbour that you want for yourself that pushes society forward in a better direction.
Does anybody here believe that God is required for charity?
God is required for charity.
Are you saying that it's a nonsense argument?
Yes.
Nonsense.
Yes, I believe that.
That leads well on to the
I
point.
believe that.
I've phrased the question.
Ubi caritas et amor Deo sibi est. Where there is love, there is God. Any expression of love is an expression of God.
So that's what it's innate to you. So that's the thing. Your innate moral compass comes from God. Yours comes from being a human being.
His moral compass is not to harm other people. Right. Your moral compass is my feelings.
No, just my feelings.
Yes, it is. That's what you said in your answer.
No, because
people can decide on camera. Anyway, make your question.
The point is, you've already stated that, like, if you were to give up Christianity tomorrow, you still have a residual set of ethics and morals
he actually never gave
follow
us
through
any
to the next
example
day.
of his immorality.
He gave you two. You just didn't accept them.
He didn't.
Even though you've removed yourself from the religion, you said that you would still carry with you.
Sorry, he's heckling.
Sorry. I apologize.
Go on, start again.
I started it.
You said earlier, if you were to give up Christianity the next day, you would still carry with you some of the moral structure was the word that you used from the day before.
Yeah,
sure. And that was the point that I was trying to make, is I don't have to be a Christian. I can extrapolate the ethics and morals that you have in your book that I also have through my own life experience, and that doesn't belong to your book. That doesn't monopolize. You don't monopolize the word truth. You don't monopolize the word love. These are things that are in the substrate of humanity, and if I choose to tune into that, that's what I want to do on a human level. And that doesn't mean that you have the final say in your book that says that comes from.
Okay, I can see you want to come in on something.
Yeah, I just try and make the debate progress a little. I think you're saying that you derive your moral beliefs from an inner sense of right and wrong. Is that correct?
Not just in a sense. Like the animal. Like if an animal had a bird in the nest, it wouldn't just eat the bird. It nurtures the young.
Right.
Okay. Now they didn't have a
innate,
Bible.
right? That's
They
innate.
didn't have a Bible. They didn't have any
No, I
doctrines.
agree.
That's innate within nature to want
Okay,
to
let him
love
make his
and
point.
nurture.
Let
So
him make his
that's
I
point.
agree. I don't think you need a Bible to know basic moral truths.
Absolutely.
I think the question is how do we know right, that this sort of set of intuitions is reliable? Now, if you're a theist like Bob here, you believe that you were made by God, and as such, this inner sense of right and wrong, I think it's in Romans chapter 2, was designed by God. So you can trust it. You have grounds to trust your inner sense of right and wrong. From your perspective, though, I assume.
Let him finish his point.
From your perspective, I assume, atheist, or you were saying freethinker, you believe that your inner sense of right and wrong is the product of a naturalistic, as it were, blind process. So I guess.
Not blind.
No, it's
so
not
I guess.
blind. It's
Right.
eyes wide open.
Right. But
No, the process
This is
not
blind. This is eyes wide open.
No, that is not eyes wide
because
open.
you're doing everything from a 300-page book.
Right.
I'm using
I guess
light.
definitely more than
question-
300
I'm in
pages.
four.
on it.
I'm
Right,
in
no,
six
I'm
books.
in
I'm not
300
300
pages.
What I'm saying
He's
is,
in 1D.
What I'm saying is, I think he has better reason to trust his moral intuitions than you do, because
Yeah.
he
No,
believes
he
his moral
has
intuitions.
blind faith.
No, you have
That's
blind
called
faith.
blind faith.
That is the
No,
definition of blind
no,
faith.
this simple enlightenment rhetoric that the Christian faith is blind faith is simply a catchphrase.
You're even holding it in your hand.
Yes, I am. It is simply a catchphrase
you're
of
holding it in your
enlightenment
hand.
thinkers. Allow me to talk now. Right? It is simply a catchphrase of enlightenment thinkers. Because let us consider, if there is no God, then what we're really saying is that the moral framework that these two are advocating is the product of a chaotic,
And I'm not advocating.
random chance. And if it is the product of a chaotic, random chance,
There's no random.
then we can choose our own morality.
No random.
Because there is no absolute truth
There's no random.
by which we can measure what is right and wrong. So they are arguing
Nothing random,
that in an
Bob.
atheistic universe,
We're not a monolith.
they have
have
a
different
moral
opinions, yeah.
system,
We're different people, by the
a
way.
moral system that is the product of a chaotic evolutionary process,
We're the same. We're Siamese
which,
twins.
as human beings, we have moved out of and looked down upon, and therefore can reinvent. Now, that is the problem with an atheistic moral system,
Except it isn't,
and it is
because you
the
made some
very
assumptions which
reason.
are incorrect.
It is the very reason why we should reject it. Because if we do follow
He's
that logic,
proselytising again.
then what we do is we open the door to the ideologies that we have seen in the 20th century, like communism, Nazism, fascism.
But we can do that without your God.
That asserted that humanity was its own God, and then defined humanity.
Man is a measure of all things.
Now, however, if we base our faith upon what God has revealed on Revelation, the justifications of which are separate to this argument, they're a separate line of argument, then what we have is an objective measurement of right and wrong that is not simply about our emotional intuition or simply from
But we agree it's an objective position. But
reductionist.
how are you going to handle the fact that there are many of those books and they say different things?
When you say many of these books,
Well, there's a Quran. How are you
Right.
going to handle that?
I mean,
So I
that's
will-
why we come every Sunday, right? To argue.
Yeah.
to
So let me
decide
let me
whether-
let me
It's a
address that
friendly.
point.
I like Bob. It's a friendly debate.
And I'm not upset.
I watch your videos. I think
and I'm
it's
not
great.
upset with
Nobody's
you.
upset
You know,
But you are straw manning quite a lot. But it's
Oh,
fine.
I would say that you're straw manning, but you know, that is the nature of Speaker's Corner. So, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is how Speaker's Corner was before the Islamist thugs came to try and take it over. This is how
are getting
Speaker's
better.
Corner used to be. But then the Islamist thugs came and they tried to establish.
We'll be
Shamsi the
shaking
First
hands
tried to
afterwards.
establish his little caliphate here with his gang, and he tries to intimidate people.
Speaker's Corner.
You know. Now, but let me deal with this question. What do we do about all these other religions? Because
other
it is a
books.
question.
Because they're all going to say their book is
Okay, yes,
objective truth.
absolutely. Truth, ladies and gentlemen, is that which corresponds closest to reality. Okay? Truth is that which corresponds closest to reality. Now, we don't receive truth without it being interpreted to us.
Not my friends, but
We interpret the truth around us through a narrative. We think in narratives. So the narrative, no, that's part of it. But the narrative by which you interpret the world around you decides for you how much of the truth you're able to access. So, in terms of what I believe is the truth, I believe Christ is the truth. He is the embodiment of truth. he is the grounding of reality for me. Sure. So, in terms of those other teachings, like let's look at Buddhism, which says that the way to get into the next incarnation, a higher reincarnation from this one, is to avoid the wheel of suffering. And what that results in is that Buddha basically went and sat under a tree for 20 odd years and didn't really get involved in the world around him. Muhammad followed and taught a religion that could be summarized as having an ideology that is based upon submission. Blind submission to a set of rules that, amongst other things, institute slavery, adultery, rape, and paedophilia.
But that's not too dissimilar to your book.
Now, what does my faith teach? What does Christ teach me to do? He teaches me to love my enemies, to love my neighbor, to love myself, to love my God, to love my community. Tell me, do you have any problem with that?
Absolutely not.
Do you have any problem with that?
But we don't need Christ for that.
We don't. But I'm
So
like that
who was-
already.
but who
So how
was
is
it?
it I'm like that already without your book then?
But you're not. That's the point. You're not, because it's because
trying to
we've
make out that you're
it's because we've had 1,000 years of this teaching in our culture that you understand that love is the highest maxim. That's why you need Jesus.
No, that comes back to the argument you're saying 3,000 years ago they were immoral.
Look at our society
Which
today.
they were not.
Look at our society today. Our society has increasingly moved away from the teachings of Christ. Increasingly moved away from the teachings of Christ. And what has that resulted
I
in?
thought Christianity was growing.
It's in this country, no. It has resulted in family breakdown, in the license to abort your children. It has resulted in a abuse of workers. It has resulted in an increase in injustice.
Well, I don't believe in abortion. I think it's murder.
I agree.
Now, I'm not a Christian. How is that possible? How is that possible that I've got
And
that
where do
belief?
you think you
Now,
got
how
that
is
moral
possible?
framework from?
Now, how is that possible?
Where do you think they got the moral
No,
framework?
I asked the
Okay, you inherited it from the Christian
can't actually
culture
call it
of our
murder,
age.
guys. You can't call it murder because it's not actually illegal.
What about the
You can't
secular,
avoid it.
What about the secular understanding it's okay, the pro-choice argument? Why have I not tapped into that? Why have I chosen the pro-life
Yep.
answer
Yeah.
rather than the pro-choice? And I'm not a Christian. How have I done that? How have I done
To try and bring home to you just how much Christianity has influenced everything that we are as English people. We can't even communicate to one another without acknowledging the influence of the church, because the grammatical structures that we use to speak English were formed by two books, the Book of Common Prayer and the Bible. They normalized the English language.
Bit of a stretch.
It is not a stretch, it's history. Learn your history. Because, and this is the point, this is the dupe that the establishment have played on the English people, is that we want to distance ourselves from our own culture and from our own history and from our own identity, so that when someone praises two of the greatest
Bob,
literary works in the English
Bob, you were
language...
despising the view over this side, but this gentleman's actually agreed with you. Answer
No.
this question. He has. He said he doesn't
No.
agree with
Allow me-
abortion.
No.
I don't agree with abortion. How is that
How is that
possible if I'm
possible
not Christian?
if he's been liberalised?
Because
I've been liberalised
you
like you
have
said
been
I have.
influenced by the Christian culture, which is your inheritance as an Englishman born in this country.
10 minutes ago you said I've been liberalised.
You have in many ways.
So why is it that I've chosen in this particular topic to believe in the Christian
Because
way?
influencing the worldview is not a total sum game.
Right.
It isn't a case that. It isn't a case that. It isn't a case.
You can pick and choose.
Yes, you do.
Right, that's my
Right.
initial
And
argument.
I know it is, but the point is, brother, when we do that, when we pick and choose our own moral system,
Yes.
what we are saying is that we are the moral arbiter. And if we are saying that we are the moral arbiter, that means that we can make the moral choice to do wrong.
I'm not saying that. He may be saying that, but I'm not saying
And that's why
I'm saying
you
there is
need
objective
Jesus
morality.
to
I'm not the
ground
arbiter.
your reality, because you have made yourself the moral arbiter, and I am not suggesting.
But it's okay if
One
I
second.
don't believe in abortion.
1 second. You have made yourself the moral arbiter, and I am not saying that that means that you have suddenly decided that you're going to stop murdering people and robbing. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that now that you have decided that you're the highest moral authority, in theory, potentially, tomorrow, you could decide that what is morally bad is something that is morally good to you. And that's why it's a bad moral system.
So could a Christian.
So can a Christian. So guys, exactly what I was going to say.
No, Bob's right about that.
Can I have a time check?
As a person, you've got free will.
Nearly 3 o'clock.
Right.
You're done.
I've got to go. I've got to go.
one question, please.
I've got to go at 3 o'clock. I just want to deal with this brother's point. He said, so can a Christian. Of course, a Christian can go against the teaching of their faith and make themselves the highest moral arbiter and then go on to do and decide and do something wrong. In fact, every Christian still does things that are wrong. We're not here saying that we are above everyone else, that we're morally superior to everyone else, that never do anything wrong. What we're saying is that we acknowledge the reality that truth has to be grounded in that reality. And that truth, therefore, has to be the basis that we decide what is morally right and morally wrong. And we seek to cultivate that moral system, that moral life into ourselves. Yeah? So that and that's the difference between us. Because
No, it's not. That's fantastic. So does everyone else, and so do these people, because they have their own.
They have their own. They have
their own morality.
I don't have my own morality.
They have their own morality.
I have. I do not have my own morality.
That's fine. Another thing that Christianity teaches acceptance and
I'm not
tolerance.
choosing my morality.
Who says that we teach acceptance and tolerance?
Is that not part of Christianity?
No, that's a liberal hoodwink. You see,
Okay,
the point about liberal society is that it tries to tell you what Christianity is. Liberal society and the liberal media try to tell the Christians what our faith is because they want the Christians to conform to the establishment's agenda. But the reality is that we Christians do not take our knowledge of the truth from what the liberal media says is Christianity.
Excuse my naivety.
We take it from the apostles and the prophets' teaching, which means that we don't tolerate everything, we don't accept everything, and we are able to say when society has gone wrong, and it has gone wrong, and the people that are suffering the most from it are the white working class.
We agree it's gone
my
wrong,
own
Bob.
community.
We agree it's gone wrong. We're saying that God is not the answer.
And I would say, anyway, guys, I'm going to have to go.
It can be as
It was a pleasure speaking
No, I mean
to you.
globally,
Pleasure
generally.
speaking to you.
Bob,
Pleasure speaking
absolute
to you.
pleasure, sir.